Welcome to another edition of Big Oo's Top 20 Countdown. This week we're counting down the top 20 smooth jazz songs according to BDS.com. Plus, we have our awesome guest, Dee Allen, and we have three wonderful extra songs and a comedy corner that will blow your mind. But you guys, let's get into this countdown. The number 20 song comes from the Andy Rosenstein Band. This song is called Blues. Let's get into it. Blues by the Andy Rothstein Band on Big Oo's Top 20 Countdown, baby. Yeah, y'all. That was a number 19 song, Grant Ferguson. That song was called Warpath. You guys, it's time to talk to our guest. Let me give an introduction. This man is an awesome spoken word artist, a poet. He has various books out. He is a really talented, really talented. And we're also going to get to some more stuff that he does. But we're talking to our guest, Dee Allen. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing okay. And yourself?
I'm awesome. Tell my listeners about yourself.
I'm Dee Allen from Oakland, California, traditional land of the Ohlone Nation. My pronouns are he, him, his.
Okay. He, him, his. Okay. What is it that you do?
I happen to be a published author and a performance poet.
How many books do you have out?
7, exactly.
Wow. How did you get? Go ahead.
At least 2 of those books came out last year, not just in the same year, but the same month and same week. First week of February 2022.
Wow. So how did you get into being an author? What made you choose to do poetry?
Before I transitioned into poetry, I was writing primarily song lyrics.
Okay.
At the time, around my early 20s, I was working with several different bands that, needless to say, never made it past the garage. The reason, everybody involved in the band, myself included, all had different visions of what the musical approach was going to be like. So creative differences was the reason why each of those bands didn't last. I failed as a musician, as a singer, most likely, but I succeeded as a songwriter. I started out writing song lyrics, and then I was approached by several members of the same family, the McCook brothers, who I was friends with at the time, had asked me to write poems for their girlfriends so they can impress them. Long story short, I tried to write poetry for somebody else's girlfriend, and let's just say I did not save those first attempts at poetry because they were horrible. And I didn't know how to master poetry yet. But later on in life, I found out that poetry and song lyrics are actually the same thing. Except one has music. Take away the musical arrangement for it, and what do you have left? Poetry. You just have the words.
That's right. That's definitely true. That's definitely true. What you guys want to?
And by mid 1992, I gotten better at poetry with practice. And reading others' poetry helped me along that journey. And that reading works from the 1920s to 1940s Harlem Renaissance period, epitomized by the likes of Countee Cullen, John Toomer, and Langston Hughes. The beat generation of the 1950s and 60s, epitomized by Allen Ginsberg, Diane DePrima, and a very young Amiri Baraka when he was still called Leroy Jones. And the Black Arts movement of the 1970s, epitomized by Amiri Baraka, Haki-R Madhubuti, Marvin X, and Sonia Sanchez. and even rock stars who have written poetry like Jim Morrison of the Doors or Glenn Danzig of the Misfits, Sam Hain, and Danzig.
That was really, really interesting. Wow. Would you guys want to, we're going to talk more to our guest, D. Allen, but let's get back into this countdown. The number 18 song comes from Wes Montgomery. This song is called Bumping on a Sunset. Let's get into it. Bumping on a Sunset by Wes Montgomery on Big Woo's Top 20 Countdown, baby, number 18. Yeah, y'all, that was the number 17 song, Amber Weeks with The Way He Makes Me Feel, featuring Don David. Man, I actually like that song. It's actually one of the best songs of this countdown, if you ask me. I heard it and I love it. But we're talking to our guest, D. Allen. What was the name of your first book? And did you use a publisher or did you self-publish?
I used a publisher for my very first book.
Mm-hmm.
And the name of the first book was called Boneyard, Poems and Songs of African Struggle and Survival in the U.S. And that was put out by a now Oakland-based author, publisher called Poor Press, Poor Po, Press Press.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
They put out my first 4 books, actually. Count them.
Okay.
They put out Boneyard, which was followed then in 2012 by Unwritten Law, and it was later re-released in 2020 after being out of print for 8 years. Stormwater in 2017, and in 2019, Skeletal Black.
That's awesome.
Without Poe Press, none of those 4 books would have ever seen the light of day.
Wow, are you serious?
Serious as a heart attack, bruh.
Wow. You said it wouldn't be if it wasn't for them. Would they pushed you to do it, or you just decided that that you just want to just put them out through them?
I wanted to put it out through them. After years of writing like a full body of work, I decided that it was time to put out like a first book. And they pretty much coached me into how to put the book together from start to finish.
Wow. Okay.
And this is my first book I'm talking about. And after it was released around Kwanzaa 2010, I was so proud to have it released. But then I opened it up and looked at the table of contents, and 3 poems were missing from the whole thing.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
How did that make you feel?
It made me feel like, what's going on around here? I was puzzled. But I figure in order for these 3 poems to have a home, that required me to create a second book.
Okay.
And that led to the creation of Unwritten Law, which I'm still proud of to this day as well.
Why did they tell you why they didn't put the 3 books in? Or
at the time, Poe Press had its own unwritten law of book publishing, because the books they put out back in the early 2010s were mostly like chapbook length, chapbook form. And my book was shortened from 32 pages to 27. So anything above 30 didn't make the cut.
Wow. Oh, okay. Okay.
I found out about that later.
Wow. Okay. That's pretty puzzling. Wow. But I'm glad that it led to you creating another book.
Yeah, and it led to me creating 2 more books after that before I moved on to other publishers.
Okay, so can people actually are the first 4 books available right now, like on various websites, or it's just like on their website?
Yes, the second, third, and fourth book, Unwritten Law, Stormwater, and Skeletal Black, are all available by Poe Press still. Boneyard, on the other hand, has been out of print for 12 years.
Wow.
Going on 13.
Is that because of your doing or because of their doing?
They're doing mostly around 2013, as quick as my second book, Unwritten Law, was put out, it went out of print. It was so popular in the Bay Area underground, though. And ProPress decided to move its operations from San Francisco to Oakland because of real estate gentrification. They were based in a La Raza neighborhood called the Mission District at the time. That was also where I lived.
Oh, okay. Okay. We're going to talk more to our guest, D. Allen, but let's get back into this countdown because I have a question about that. So let's get into the number 16 song. The number 16 song comes from Robben Ford. This is the first of 5 songs by him. This song is called Get Away. Let's get into it. Robben Ford, Get Away on Big. It's number 16 on Big. Ooh, Stop 20 Countdown, baby. Yeah, stole that from Soul Train, y'all. Yeah, you guys, that was number 15, Robben Ford, the second of 5 songs. That song was called Born Under a Bad Sign. I kind of like that song. But you guys, it's time to get into the first extra song of the week, which comes from a good friend to the show. He was on the show, I believe, season 6. This is our good friend, Anthony Gray. He has a new song that is really, really awesome. And this song is called Legendary Persistence. Let's get into it. The rapper, good friend of the show, my brother, I love him dearly. This song is called Legendary Persistence on Big Old Time 20 Countdown. Yeah, girl, that was the awesome Anthony Gray with the song Legendary Persistence. If you all love that song, I want you guys to go support that song. And just seriously support good artists, good music, and also good poetry like our brother D. Allen here. Brother, you're awesome, man. I want you guys to. I think I met him. We met through what's it called? We met through the poetry group. Put in the chat, right?
Yeah, we met through this virtual open mic broadcast live from Colorado Springs on Zoom called Put in the Chat.
Yeah.
About a year ago.
Yeah. I can't believe it's been that long. Time goes by.
Time whizzed by quickly.
And he's a really good brother. I mean, he's a really awesome poet.
Oh, no doubt. But I have yet to hear his work though, or read it.
Yeah, but I'm talking about you.
I was
an awesome poet.
I was referring to Midnight.
Yeah, Midnight is awesome too. He's gonna come on. I think later on this season, I'm gonna have him on the show. But I said, man, I've always, but with you, I've always admired your poetry skills. You're an awesome poet, man. Awesome poet. I'm not just blowing smoke up your behind. You know, you're a really awesome poet, man. I'm giving you major props.
Thank you. I could use that.
We all could use that. We all could, brother. But we're talking about your first. You know what? I'm gonna go ask you a question about your first book. Have you ever thought about taking your first book to another publisher and republishing it, putting it back into print?
Yeah, I've thought about that all of last year while I was working on it. I'm actually thinking about bringing Boneyard back through another publisher. The trick is the publisher that I wanted to go with is this close to going out of business. And they happen to be the publishers of my seventh book, Plans.
Oh, okay.
Plans is put out by a Oakland-based publisher called Nomadic Press. They also have a national reach.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, they do. Unfortunately, because sales were so poorly last year, they're about to go out of business. And I got the news about that through an email from the editor-in-chief, J.K. Fowler. Oh. When I read that, my jaw dropped. And I'm like, so much for this. I'm not going to. I wanted to get Boneyard re-released through Nomadic Press, but that's not going to happen now.
Well, oh, so what are your plans? Do you plan on going to another publisher, or do you plan on or do you plan on becoming like a self-released poet, like you release your own stuff?
I don't have the money or the material resources to self-publish.
Hmm.
I am thinking about looking for another publisher anywhere.
Hmm.
Anyone who's willing to advocate for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
So
I do want to get my first book back out into the world and introduce it to a new audience.
yeah, yeah. I definitely understand what you mean. I definitely understand what you mean because I remember my first two books they were like out of print for a minute because my actually my first one my first, my second, and my sixth book, they were out of print because the publisher went out of business. But then I decided to re-release it through another company. So I know exactly what you're going through. I know exactly what you're going through about trying to find a publishing home.
Okay. Um, currently, I'm in the currently I've after an entire year of looking for a publisher, I finally found one
Mhm,
here in California, in
mhm.
a part of California called Half Moon Bay, that's willing to take on my manuscript, and
Oh,
hopefully it'll lead to a potential finished printed eighth book.
wow, that would be so awesome. I hope I'm definitely praying that it works out for you, brother.
Me
Because
too. I hope it works out for me.
you're super duper talented and your work needs to be uh put out. Everybody needs to read it. For
How
real.
many books have you come out with so far?
So far, 17th, the 18th book will be it's
Whoa.
yeah, yeah, yeah. My 18th book will be out by the time because we're taping this before March. So it'll be out February 15th. 18 poems from the heart.
Hey, congratulations, bro.
Very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You got me beat when it comes to being prolific. Everybody, wherever I go, says you're such a prolific writer. You produce so much stuff. But you got me beat with 18 books to my 7.
It's just it just the creativity just flows through me. But I'm like you. I'm like you because I'm put some of my songs, I put them, I just take the music away and just write it into poetry form sometimes.
That helps. If it
Yeah.
doesn't translate well into musical form, then some of those pieces do work better as poems.
Yes, it does. Yeah, I find that too. I find that too. So many of my lyrics of my unreleased songs, I put them into poetry, and nobody will ever know about it. You know, so
If they open one of your books, they might know.
yeah, 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 yeah. They definitely will. They definitely will. But I'm like, man, I'm with you. I'm like you. I have to just get it out. Get it out. Yeah, because I've been doing it for almost 20 years. So I learned to just get the thoughts out, anger, the sadness, and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But this is not about me. It's about you.
All right.
But you guys, we're going to talk more to our guest, D. Allen. But let's get back into this countdown. The number 14 song comes from another Robin Ford song. This song is called Help the Poor. Let's get into it. Help the Poor by Robin Ford on Big O's Top 20 Countdown, baby. Yeah, y'all, we did 3 in a row. That was the last of 5 songs by Robin Ford. Number 14 was Robin Ford Help the Poor. Number 14 was Robin Ford Help the Poor. Number 13 was Robin Ford Talk to Your Daughter. And number 12 was Robin Ford with Revelation. But it's time to get into the comedy corner with a really, really good friend of the show. And he's now my comedy teacher right now because we're learning to do comedy through him. This is I just enrolled in his comedy courses because in addition, I'm also a stand-up comedian, so I'm learning how to become a better one. But this is my teacher, Greg Wilson, the very, very funny Greg Wilson. Let's get into the comedy corner by the very, very funny Greg Wilson on Big Top 20 Countdown, baby. Yeah, y'all, that was a very, very comic legend Greg Wilson. He's been doing it for 30 years, and he's now my comedy teacher. We're talking to our guest, D. Allen. There are so many things I want to ask you, but one of the things I really do want to ask you is, I noticed that you don't have an Instagram.
I don't. I don't. I don't have any social media accounts whatsoever.
Why is that?
Most published authors use social media as a way of getting their work promoted a little better. I, on the other hand, could do without the cyberbullying, the cyber stalking, anonymous trolls trying to hack onto a page, law enforcement agencies, local, state, national, trying to pry into my own personal information that I would put up there if I had such a thing. So to do without those things, I tend to operate a lot better that way.
Have you ever had a social media page?
No.
Oh, okay. So you just said no, forget it.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay.
I don't even have my own website at all.
Oh, you don't?
I don't.
Why is that?
My internet presence is sporadic and scattered at best. So the best way you could find anything on me online is to basically go to whatever internet search engine you use normally and just type into the little search window, D. Allen Poet, D. Allen Oakland Poet, or D. Allen San Francisco Poet. Either way, you'll get hella results.
Okay. How is the poetry scene out there in Oakland?
Oh, it's massive. Not just Oakland, but the entire Bay Area. This is the type of place where people could not just perform poetry on an open mic on a stage, but they would sometimes recite it outside of a bar, around people smoking cigarettes, joking with each other, whatever, and maybe one or two people will bust out with a poem on the spot. It's that kind of environment.
Wow, that is really, really cool.
It's always been like that since the 1950s with the San Francisco beatnik poetry scene.
Oh, okay. Did you grow up out there, or did you moved out there?
I moved to the San Francisco Bay Area 20 years ago from Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
So I'm a big city boy from the East Coast.
What did you move from Atlanta to the Bay Area? What prompted you to do that?
One day back in the summer of 2002, I read this article. It was a book review. I forget the name of the writer and I forget the name of the book itself, but I know it was a sociology book. And the book review went into detail about how big cities should open their doors to more creative people. And creative people, according to this author, meant anything from people who draw to people who paint to people who design websites. And even writers are considered artists. And to prove this author's point, he compiled together a top 15 list of artist-friendly cities in the USA for his book. Number 1 was San Francisco. Number 3 was New Orleans, where my granddaddy's from.
Oh, okay.
And number 14 was Atlanta, where I currently lived. And there wasn't much of an art scene going on out there. And taking up the rear at number 15, dead last, was Detroit.
Okay.
And after reading this, I thought, San Francisco, number 1 artist-friendly city. And I thought, I could start my life over here. And flash forward several months to November of 2002, after 3 days on the Dirty Dog traveling cross country from Atlanta to San Francisco, I got off and I was finally in the Bay Area.
Wow.
I was finally in San Francisco, a city I've never been to before in my life, but I've heard good things about.
Okay.
This artist-friendly city in the West, and I
Yeah.
started my life over there.
Wow. How has it been since you moved there?
The Bay Area has been very kind to me in more ways than one.
Oh, okay.
Most so than my old home city of Atlanta has ever been.
Wow.
And I used to do spoken word out there too. But
Oh,
then around 1998, I got stabbed in the back by the punk scene that I was involved with at the time. Imagine having 4 dozen people talk hella crap about you behind your back where you're nowhere in sight, nowhere to defend yourself. But you got
Wow.
all these people talking hella crap about you, and you're the last one to know about it.
Wow.
And it's never happened to me before. So the only way I could deal with that drama was to leave the punk scene behind and just stay to myself. And during those times, I wrote a bunch of deeply personal, introspective poems.
Hmm.
Before that, I wrote mostly political stuff and,
Oh,
and philosophical stuff about my observations on life.
oh, okay. Wow. You know what, y'all? We're going to talk more to our guest, D. Allen, but let's get back into this countdown because I want to know more about the punk scene after this. But let's get into the number 11 song comes from Rodney Whitaker. The song was called Minor Billia featuring Burke Barth, Terrell Stanford Hall. And Terrell Stanford Hall, Tim Warfield, and Dana Hall. Let's get into it. The number 11 song on Big Old Top 20 Countdown. Yeah, y'all, that song was by Rodney Whitaker. The song was called Minor Billia. But you guys, let's get into I'm sorry, that was a number 10 song. Griffin Woodard with the Griffin Woodard Group with Doxology. It's time to get to the extra song of the week, which comes from a good friend to the show. He's never been on the show. I'm working on getting him on the show, but I promised him I would play one of his songs from his album called Drive On. This song is by Sage. This song is called Strapped In. Let's get into it. Strapped In by Sage on Big Old Top 20 Countdown. Yeah, y'all, that was a second extra song of the week, which comes from Sage. That song was called Strapped In from his album Drive On, which is an album full of songs about driving and stuff like that. But you guys, we're talking to our guest, D. Allen. D. Allen, you were talking before we went to break. You were talking about the punk scene. What's the punk scene about?
Punk or hardcore punk, if you prefer, is this loud, fastly played, politically charged music.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually played by dudes with funny haircuts, usually colored in different colors of the rainbow, other than their natural color. Multiple piercings. Yeah, that's right, punk rock. And I was involved in that scene for 6 years, from 1992 to 1998. And during those times, I first became a performance poet after attending a friend's birthday party at this house where a local punk band normally did practices at. At this birthday party, I had 2 friends, a black dude who played guitar in a local heavy metal band, and a brown dude with long black hair who was a bassist in this punk band. And they both talked me into performing a piece that I was writing that night on a coffee table. They wanted me to go up onto the mic right before this party got started and perform my work. I was afraid. My hands were shaking worse than San Francisco earthquake in 1989. I
Wow.
was far beyond scared. I was shook. I didn't know how to do this. And I kept thinking, what if these guys think I suck? What if these guys think I have no talent? What if they start booing at me? But I went up to the mic stand. I read my 3-page poem about voting.
Mhm.
And at the very end of it, the crowd loved it. I was not expecting this. I wasn't expecting this at all. My jaw dropped as soon as I got the applause. And I just
Wow.
stepped off the stage, and this female-led alternative band started playing after me. I
Wow.
opened up for them.
Wow.
And that was my first real spoken word gig. And that led to many other gigs, from house parties to bars to nightclubs that had open mic nights, to
Mhm.
even nightclubs opening up for local and national touring bands.
Wow.
And most of those bands were punk rock bands.
Mhm. Wow. Wow. That is so cool. But
And
then,
all that happened before I got stabbed in the back by my old scene.
wow. This, how did you find out that these people were talking bad about you?
Some dude named Ashwood, who was also involved in the same scene, was telling me all this crap. And I
Mm.
just couldn't believe it. I was speechless. And I never went to any of the shows again
Wow.
after
That's
that crap.
that is so messed up that that happened to you, man. It really is, man. Because it
There
seems like,
was there was even a coffee shop that had an open mic night for poets. And the punks came out to that because of me.
wow. Wow. Oh, but such is life. People get jealous and people just start talking, man. I really do hate that. And I really do hate that happened to you, man. I mean, because man, I say it like this. I say it like this. It's their loss. It's not you, because you know you got to keep on moving what you have been doing. And I'm proud that you kept on moving. You kept on doing poetry. I'm happy that you did that.
I could have given up at any point in my life, but I'm glad I stuck with it. But I will tell you this:
Mhm.
between 2000 and 2007, I went through this long bout of writer's block. And
Hmm.
that was after writing one abortive attempt at a poem. It had a great starting line. That starting line was screaming. And then when I tried to write the rest of it, I just kept forcing lines out and forcing lines out. And at the very end of it, I just picked it up, proofread it, and it turned out to be the worst poem I've ever written.
Wow.
But that starting line, screaming, it was lit. And that eventually led to me giving up on myself. I took that one notebook that abortive poem was in, threw it in the trash, and threw out 5 other notebooks behind it and gave up. And I
Hmm.
didn't write anything for almost a decade. Imagine going 7 years without writing a damn thing creatively.
That's a pretty long time.
That's
What made
scary too.
really is. What made you get back into writing?
After coming to the Bay Area from Atlanta,
Mhm.
I started getting involved with local activist groups. And I did some of this while I was still homeless. I
Hmm.
got plugged into like several different organizations and collectives. And and naturally I went to protest because of that.
Hmm.
And every time I would hear somebody on a bullhorn just belt out one chant after another, I start making up stuff in my head that fit whatever the protest was about. So I start motioning to a dude with a bullhorn saying, "Let me have the bullhorn. I want to say something." And then I start screaming out the chant that I made up, and the crowd starts following.
Hmm.
It's happened to me like every time for years.
Oh, okay.
So needless to say, coming up with chants on the fly at protests and going to like message boards online kind of got me back into the swing of creative writing. And that broke my writer's block and I started writing again.
Wow. Wow. I love that story. I love that story, how you came back and how you came back from the writer's block. And I like that story. But you guys, let's get back to this countdown because I think we're next. We're gonna let him. I want you to get a poem together because I want you to recite something for me when we come back. But let's get into the number 9 song. The number 9 song comes from Tito Calera. This song is called Fire and Ice, featuring Troy Roberts, Clark Summers, and Jay Sawyer. Let's get into it. The number 9 song by Tito Carrillo on Big Old Stop 20 Countdown, baby. Yeah, y'all, we did a 3 in a row for you. Tito Carrillo, number 9 with Fire and Ice, featuring Troy Roberts, Clark Summers, and Jay Sawyer. Number 8 was Jonathan Mills, Sneak Attack, featuring Tyrone Jackson, Luke Weatherton, Patrick Allen, Arthur, and Tom Salter. And the number 7 was Kate Hammond with Butterflies. I think that's a remake of the Michael Jackson song. But you guys, it's time to get into the independent song of the week, which also comes from a good friend, Sage. This song is called Rest Up. Let's get into it. Rest Up by Sage, the independent song of the week on Big Old Stop 20 Countdown, baby. Yeah, yo, that was the independent song of the week, Sage. Another song I promised him I was going to play from his album. But we're talking to our guest, D. Allen. Are you ready, brother?
Yeah, I've been ready.
I want you to get ready. I just want you to recite a poem. Let's get into it. Get into it.
The poem I'm about to do for y'all comes from my 7th book, Plans.
Okay.
From pages 11 and 12 in the book, based on actual events. This is called Absent Father.
Okay.
The children, let me start again. The father of 7 children is absent from home. 7 children are missing a playmate, missing a teacher, missing a provider. He was lured away from his personal kingdom beyond the wildlife sanctuary. A rifle, a crossbow hastened his subtraction from the dense equation of life. Now the royal family have a relative to lean on for basic food, warmth, safety, taking over the former king's duties. 7 children have another playmate, another teacher, another provider in their abode, filling the absent sin, restoring the warmth lost. And so the furry lion family must continue beyond the growing cubs, beyond their uncle, the king's brother in spirit. May no hunter tear this asunder.
Wow, that's deep. I like that. Snap, 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 snap.
That poem was called Absent Father for the African lions Cecil and Jericho.
Oh, okay. That's not, is that, you said that was kind of autobiographical. Did that happen to you or?
No, it's not. It's not autobiographical at all. This is based on actual events that took place in the motherland, in Africa.
Oh, okay.
Actually, in Zimbabwe, back in 2015 or 2016, when an American dentist, I forget the dude's name already, but he was an American dentist who went over to Africa on safari just to shoot down lions for sport. And all this made like international news for a minute. And a lion by the name of Cecil got killed by this American dentist at gunpoint.
Wow.
And the only one who was qualified to take care of the cubs in his absence was his brother in spirit, another African lion named Jericho.
Okay.
True story.
Okay.
So I wanted to focus on what happens when a big family loses the head of the household. And what do they do after that?
Yeah.
Um, a fellow writer from Nomadic Press who helped me edit this book told me that when he read Absent Father, he was reminded of how Black families lose their head of the household due to racial violence or police brutality.
That's true. Yeah.
Or Black on Black genocide in some cases. And that family is left without their breadwinner, the head of the household.
That's true.
So the mother's got to take care of the kids by themselves, or they get married again.
Yeah. Yeah, that happens so much in the Black community. It really does, and it saddens me sometimes as well. You know what? I'm gonna put you on the spot. Do another one.
Okay, I'm down to do another one.
I just want to do another. I want you to do another one.
Is it okay if I do another one after this?
If you want to, do what you feel.
Okay. This one happens to come from my sixth book, Rusty Gallows, Passages Against Hate.
Okay.
And its 1 year anniversary was yesterday.
Oh, okay. That's awesome.
From pages 27 and 29. This is the title poem. Being Black shouldn't be a death sentence. Rusty Gallows.
Okay.
Corrosion covers the whole goddamn structure like a filthy blanket. With so much widespread decay, this old tarnished bridge should have collapsed from crashing waters many floods ago. By some fluke of nature, unscathed by time, it still stands above the muddy Chickasaw River in Shubuta, Mississippi. Once a passageway to a long-forgotten Clark County destination, twice an implement of execution like an iron crucifix. This is you, skull and crossbones etched on the bridge's base, cryptic warning meant for anyone unlucky enough to cross it, and the invisible line away from their place. Between both world wars, unspecified parties. Now, let's rephrase that. Haters strung up 4 boys, 2 girls, both pregnant, young, Negro, and guilty of nothing. Hung from knotted ropes, tied to rusty girders over the coursing river like 6 black flags sailing in the gentle southern wind.
That's awesome. Snap, 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 snap. Oh, wow.
And that was the title poem to Rusty Gallows, based on a couple of true stories from the same place. The bridge that's on the cover of Rusty Gallows is still in Shubuta, Mississippi. Still standing, still there like ever, as a reminder of Old South racism. And throughout the year of 2020, all around the world, there have been monuments to racism and slavery taken down one by one, even in this country.
Wow.
This bridge in Shubuta, Mississippi is the only racist monument that has yet to be torn down. Wow. And that was the site of 2 lynchings in the last century. One in 1918, which was the lynching of 2 boys and 2 pregnant women. The second one took place in 1942 with 2 teenage boys. Same bridge. And I decided to write that as a reminder that this is the type of violent, horrendous, Old South racism that we should put behind us. But we should also remember it.
That's right. That's right. But you also said you wanted to do another poem.
Yeah. I want to do one more poem. And this one's going to be more on a positive tip.
Okay.
And this is for all the females who are listening to this.
Okay.
This is the last poem that closes out the entire book. This is called Pretty.
Okay.
Pretty comes in all shades: vanilla ice cream, creamed coffee, creamy peanut butter, caramel, honey, cinnamon, pecan, milk chocolate, dark chocolate, molasses. Delicious hues, sweet hues, tempting and watering mouths. I could never understand why racism continues to exist with multiculturalism in the midst. Careful, conscious societal maneuvers from prejudice to justice. But I understand far less colorism, that sickening division among members of the same race along the lines of complexion. Who has melanin? How much melanin? And who looks beautiful? The division is large and supercharged among females still performing. Plastic comb tests checking for kinks in hair, still performing brown paper bag tests in their minds. Light girls are stuck up. Dark girls are envious and mean. Divisive notions grown out of polluted soil, near European grade, in absence of whiteness, go for brightness. You'll get the goods with brightness, because lightness is rightness. Who decides who is pretty enough? Who is black enough? What verdict does the bedroom mirror give the longer one stares into it?
Wow.
Sisters lashing out at each other, not knowing they're all royalty. Brothers ignore some sisters, not once knowing the queens they're missing out on. Nature has a way of passing out in equal shares beauty brought to the surface as distinct physical traits, female to female. Hair, eyes, noses, lips, skin. Apparently, nature likes variety, as I do. What catches my eye appeals to my eye. Pretty comes in all shades of black.
I love that. I love that. I love that. That was awesome. That was awesome. But you guys, we're gonna talk more to our guest, D. Allen. Let's get back into this countdown. The number 6 song comes from Dami Edson Trio. Let's get into it. Dami's New Blues. Let's get into it. Dami Edson Trio with Dami's New Blues on Big O's Top 20 Countdown. Yeah, y'all, that was the number 5 song. Henry Godfrey Jazz Orchestra with Mad Max. But it's time to get into the old school jam of the week. This jam is actually, this woman's birthday is actually 2 days away, the March 18th, and she's one of my very, very favorite singers. Anybody knows me knows I really love Vanessa Williams. And this song is her very first song that came out almost 30, actually it came out 35 years ago. Wow, I can't believe it's been that long. This song is called The Right Stuff. Let's get into it. The Right Stuff by Vanessa Williams on Big O's Top 20 Countdown, baby. Old School Jam of the Week. Yeah, yo, that was the awesome Old School Jam of the Week. Vanessa Williams with The Right Stuff. And we're talking to our guest, D. Allen. Brother, it's time to get to your business. We talked about your political stuff. We talked about the punk scene, but now we got to talk about something else. How's the love life looking?
It's a desert, dude.
Are you serious?
I am serious. It is a desert.
Wow.
I am not the ladies' man that the rest of the dudes in my family is. Although I have strived to achieve that in little ways over the years.
Wow. No girlfriend? Wow.
None. I am miserably single.
Miserably? Oh, okay. Wow. Why do you say miserably?
It is miserable. It's one thing to be single and dating a different person each week or each month. That's great.
Yeah.
But if you're single and alone, it's always miserable.
Do you get a chance to go out a lot and try to meet?
Yeah, I go out quite a bit, and looks like romance is not in the cards for yours truly.
Wow.
I wish it were the reverse.
I'm sorry to hear that, man. You'll find somebody, man. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, man. You're gonna find somebody. You knowing you probably got somebody secret. You just don't want to tell me. You try to keep me out of your business.
There is one writer, fellow writer that I'm interested in, but I'd rather not say names or point fingers or give locations or none of that crap.
Okay, I understand. I understand. You don't want to be blow up the spot. I
No
understand.
kissing and no telling.
Uh-oh, I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad. I'm not mad at you. You can tell me after this episode. we gonna talk after this episode, and then I might let y'all know. You never know. But you guys, you have a minute. I want you to say something inspirational to people. Give something inspirational to somebody like I'm gonna give you a minute to do that.
Okay, for the folks out there who are like new emerging authors and you haven't put out your first book yet, I only have like two pieces of advice for you. Number one, the late, great Toni Morrison once said, if there is a book that you would like to read, but you have never, and if there's a book that you would like to read, but it doesn't exist, then it must be up to you to write that book. Okay. So that's piece of advice number one. If there's a book that hasn't existed yet, but you would like to see one created, then you must create the book from scratch. Get a notebook, get a computer and open up a word processing program and get to work. And number two, and this is my own personal rule of thumb that I've followed for the past 30 years. Mm-hmm. You can send one written piece to like 10 different places. 9 will say no, but mm-hmm. 1 will say yes.
Yes.
Think about that for a moment.
Wow.
9 will say no, but 1 will say yes.
Wow.
And that has always happened in my particular case. I would send one piece that I've written that I'm very proud of, send it to like up to 10 places, maybe more. And I would get nothing but regular mail rejections and email rejections. But there will be one person out of a bunch, or one magazine or one publisher that will take notice of what you've created and will give you a chance to get your work published. Don't be discouraged, y'all.
That's awesome advice. That's a very awesome advice from D. Allen. But hold on, brother, we're not done with you yet. We got to get back into this countdown. The number 4 song comes from Troy Roberts. This song was called Funkafarian. Let's get into it. Funkafarian by Troy Roberts on Big O's Top 20 Countdown, number 4. Yeah, you guys, we did a 3 in a row for you. We did Troy Roberts with Funkafarian. Number 3 was Bobby Watson with Back Home in Kansas City. And number 2 was by 3D Jazz Trio with Blues for GC. And now it's time to get to the number 1 song, you guys. We made it to number 1. I really do like this song. This song is really one of my favorites on this countdown. This song is by Butcher Brown. This song is called Get Along. Let's get into it. Get Along by Butcher Brown, number 1 on Big Woo Top 20 Smooth Jazz Countdown, baby. Yeah, you guys, that was a number 1 song by Butcher Brown. The song was called Get Along. We're talking to our guest, D. Allen. D. Allen, how can people reach you?
Since I don't have internet social media accounts, the best way to contact me about anything is via good old-fashioned vanilla email.
What's your email?
dallen415. That's DEEALLEN 415 @gmail.com. dallen415 @gmail.com.
That's awesome. I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you to our guest this week, DL. And I believe this is a 260th show, if I'm not mistaken. We made it to 260, man. We made it to 260.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. 7 seasons, you guys have been sticking with me. And I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you to all the listeners, all the radio stations that carry this podcast, the Slow Motion Radio, the Block Radio FM, and recently we reunited with the original station, Kill Radio. I want to say thank you to them, and Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Music Podcast, and all of the podcasts. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And all of the listeners, thank you for holding me up for the past 7 seasons. And if you all want to reach me, you guys can reach me at www.linktree.com/OLUSHEYI. And the
Big
thought
O.
yeah, and it also carries this show. And if you all want to, the thought for the week is keep on climbing, and eventually you will reach your destination. And we always close off with a gospel song. The gospel song is by the birthday woman, Vanessa Williams. And this song is called God Bless America. Let's get into it. God Bless America by Vanessa Williams on Big Old Top 20 Countdown. And God bless you. God keep you until we meet again. And that's it.